Chair, ang national budget po ay ang bloodstream ng ating gobyerno. Ito po ang nagbibigay buhay sa bawat parte ng ating bansa. Mga paaralan, mga ospital, sakahan, infrastructure at mga komunidad. But this bloodstream is being poisoned. Nakapasok po ang lason ng pork barrel, ng patronage, at ng korupsyon. At kumakalat silang parang cancer. Yung mga issue po ng mga nakaraang buwan mula sa flood control scandal hanggang sa unprogrammed appropriations ay hindi po isolated cases. Sila po ay sintomas ng malalang sakit. A national budget that has crippled its own immune system of transparency, accountability, and citizen participation. Kung hindi po tayo kikilos ngayon, lalong lalala ang cancer na ito. Slowly and surely, wawasakin po nito ang tiwala ng taong bayan at papatayin niya ang demokrasya. So on the next slide, we wanted to explain what pork really is, no? So gusto pong maintindihan natin lahat na ang pork ay hindi lamang isang line item kagaya ng PDAF. Ang pork ay isang sistema ng political incentives and pattern of behaviors. The Supreme Court in the Belhica ruling defined pork as, quote, the collective body of rules and practices that govern the manner by which lump sum discretionary funds primarily intended for local projects are utilized through the respective participations of the legislative and executive branches of government, including its members. So, ibig sabihin po, ang PDAF ay isa lamang halimbawa ng mas malawak na sistema ng pork. Kaya hindi po ibig sabihin na nung nadeklara na unconstitutional ang PDAF ay wala na po ang pork. Because the conditions of pork still remain. The lack of transparency, excess discretion, and political patronage. Hindi man po PDAF ang tawag sa kanya ngayon, but pork barrel still exists functionally. Nandito po ang ayuda, ang hard infrastructure insertions, at ang unprogrammed appropriations. Lahat po ito ay forms of pork barrel that are renamed. Binihisan lamang para hindi makilala. Our coalition's analysis of the House-approved budget, or the HGAB, reveals three malignant growths, the three types of pork that now dominate the national budget. Together, they account for an amount ranging from at least 256 billion to 450 billion pesos in the budget, which funds which are susceptible to discretionary or patronage-driven spending. So next slide. The first tumor that we wanted to discuss, ang unang cancerous na tumor ay ang soft pork na tinatawag, na nagtatago sa likod ng mga programang kung tawagin natin ay ayuda or assistance, katulad ng AIC sa DSWD, MAIFIP sa DOH, Tupad sa DOLE, at ang tulong-dunong program sa CHED. So these are pork because instead of guaranteeing people's rights, these programs have turned citizens into clients and politicians into gatekeepers. Our analysis shows that the indignities of soft pork allocations have persisted through 156 billion pesos worth of insertions across the past 4 budgets since 2022. Combined funds allocated to these programs account for almost 70 billion worth of increase or insertions from the NEP to the House version of the GAB in 2026. Next slide, please. So although seemingly designed for assistance and relief, tinutulak ng mga programang ito ang mga Pilipino na mamalimos para sa kanilang karapatan sa kalusugan, edukasyon, at pampublikong tulong. At kadalasan, may kapalit po ito. Next slide. Not only have these ayuda programs entrenched patronage politics, they have also come at the expense of the rules-based and rights-based social protection programs such as PhilHealth and 4Ps. So what you can see on the slide and the previous 2 slides, as the budget for these soft ayuda pork programs have increased through insertions, the budgets for PhilHealth and 4Ps, which are the rules-based and rights-based programs, have decreased. So we go to the next slide now. Ang pangalawang tumor ay ang hard pork naman po. So these are the economic and political rents captured in the infrastructure programs by political and contractor networks. So while the DPWH budget has been cut by 255 billion in the House version of the GAB, pertaining especially to the flood control, we note that other infrastructure programs have become red flags. So the problem with infrastructure insertions is not necessarily in the roads, the buildings, or the irrigation projects per se, but that these allocations have become detached from the more transparent, science-based, and people-centered planning that we should expect. So ang mga line items na nasa ilalim ng, for example, Convergence and Special Support Program ng DPWH, Asset Preservation Program ng DPWH, Farm to Market Roads ng DA, and irrigation projects under the NIA, ay nagsilbi ng daluyan ng mga proyektong may halong politika, mga insertion na ginagamit para makakuha ng kickback mula sa maanomalya o substandard na mga projects, o kaya upang patatagin ang patron-client relationships and networks. So the anomalous flood control projects on the next slide, therefore, are only the tip of the iceberg. Halimbawa po, from 2018 to 2025, only 547 billion worth of flood control projects ang nakalista sa Sumbong sa Pangulo website. Samantala, ang total appropriations for the flood management program of the DPWH actually is 1.2 trillion in the same time frame. That amounts to a 653 billion worth of public funds unaccounted for. Not to mention the massive infrastructure outlays and insertions in the DPWH. During the past 3 budgets, for example, just alone, a total of, in the next slide, a total of 540.3 billion pesos has been inserted by Congress into the DPWH budget. Next slide po. So this is the slide showing that over the past 3 years, the first half of the current administration, 540 billion pesos have been inserted by Congress into the DPWH budget. Now, next slide, we want to discuss yung pangatlong cancerous tumor po, which is the shadow budget na tinatawag na dulot ng unprogrammed appropriations o ang UA. So the UA was once a small standby authorization used only when revenues exceed targets. Before 2022 po, hindi umaabot ng 250 billion ang halaga ng UA. At zero pa nga ang insertions dito sa UA. But since 2022, we have observed that the UA has ballooned into the hundreds of billions of pesos. Ganun din po ang insertions dito sa UA. And over the last 4 budgets, congressional insertions into the UA alone have totaled 1.1 trillion pesos. That's why we're able to call it a shadow budget. And yet, the BTR or the Bureau of Treasury certifications, which are the trigger for the UA releases, are not publicly accessible. Hindi po namin ma-verify kung ito ba ay totoong excess revenue o gawa-gawa lamang. The Supreme Court has already warned against this in the Aurelio versus Aquino case in 2014, stating, quote, revenue targets should be considered as a whole. Otherwise, we deal with artificial surpluses. So if you go to the next slide, nakikita po natin yung special provision on the excess revenues as a trigger relating to only certain items under the non-tax and tax revenue. Pangalawa po, we call it a shadow budget dahil para itong nasa dilim. Kulang sa transparency at labis ang discretion sa paggamit nito. This actually undermines the congressional power of the purse and weakens fiscal discipline. On the next slide, we will show that because the UA items, this is the UA under 2026 HCAB, because the UA items are couched in lump sums, this allows the executive to finance projects in a manner outside the regular scrutiny of the General Appropriations Act. Again, this reinforces the UA as a shadow budget, as the line items under the UA escape the accountability and oversight mechanisms that protect taxpayers' money. So let's go to the next slide po. Ang tatlong klase ng pork na ito ay halimbawa lamang ng mga cancerous na tumor na natagpuan natin sa ating diagnosis ng cancer that is corruption plaguing the budget. Mula po noong 2022, parami ng parami ang public funds na nagfi-feed sa mga tumor na ito, robbing our immune system of critical funds that are supposed to nourish our vital organs. Mr. Chair, kailangan po natin labanan ang cancer na ito. But we must do more than make the external symptoms go away. We need to rebuild the immune system. Civil society participation, transparency, and accountability are not external irritants to the government. Rather, we'd like to think ourselves as the antibodies that help to keep the corruption from spreading. Sana matulungan niyo po kami sa mga sumusunod na recommendations. Next slide. Una, tanggalin po natin ang pork sa ayuda programs by transforming them into disbursements based on rules, based on rights, and based on just conditions. Sa halip po na umasa sa mga guarantee letters, patibayin po natin ang PhilHealth at paigtingin po natin ang universal healthcare. Pangalawa, Tanggalin po ang 243 billion in unprogrammed appropriations at ipasok ang budget sa mga programang tunay na kailangan ng mga mamamayang Pilipino. Sa infrastructure projects po, these should be science-based and backed by transparent master plans upang masiguradong walang ghost projects at substandard projects. Pangatlo, kailangan po natin siguraduhing may mananagot. The public has heard promises of reform before and has seen the same abuses return time and time again. So to regain the people's trust, corruption must have consequences. Hindi po pwede na free pass na lang. Kung wala pong nananagot, wala pong maniniwala that this time will be different. It cannot be business as usual po. At panghuli, tratuhin po natin ang immune system ng pamahalaan laban sa korupsyon bilang isang mahalagang bahagi ng laban. There are many brilliant minds in civil society who want to help. Marami pong sektor ang gustong magbahagi kung saan pa nga ba ang nararanasan on the ground ang mga tumor or pork sa budget. Pero, kailangan po natin ng isang strong open budget system. Kasama dito po ang Open BICAM at isang Open Budget Transparency Server para makalahok po kami. Hindi po ito kakayanin ng pamahalaan na mag-isa. Kailangan po natin magtulungan. So to conclude, Mr. Chair, Senator Win, matagal na po kayong naging champion ng evidence-based governance. Our member organizations in the RFID have worked with you in the past and they all say si Sen Win ay kinikilatis niya ang datos. Malinaw po ang ebidensya, Sen Win. May cancer po ang ating bansa, ang ating budget. At sa bawat araw po na hindi direktang hinaharap ang sakit, palala ng palala po ang stages ng cancer natin. Ngunit may pag-asa. Hindi pa naman po stage 4 ang cancer. Kaya pang masalba. May the Senate be remembered as the chamber that restored our country's immune system. That the Senate made it harder to be corrupt and easier to be good. Let's go to the last slide. Today's hearing is a good step. Nabigyan po ang CSOs ng oras ngayon makapagsalita at sa halip na observers lang sa isang live stream. We have faith that by opening this process to collaboration and genuine partnership between government and civil society, that this will continue. With the Senate's leadership, we can restore the faith of the people in the budget process. Kasama niyo po kami, Sen Win. Handa po kaming tumulong sa Senado, sa inyo, at magsabi lang po kayo. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, ano ba, AJ? Diba sa ano ka? AER, di ba?
Yes,
Oh,
before po.
naalala ko nga
yes po.
Yung sa sigarilyo, di ba?
Yes, sa tax po.
Sa tobacco, you were our resource person doon sa illicit
Illicit
trade.
trade,
I
yes.
remember. Oo nga. Tandaan ko. Okay. Sige. Maganda yung mga suggestions. In fact, ito nga isa sa mga request ko sa ating resource persons to also help us with specifics. And I really appreciate itong suggestion mo kasi very specific. No? The more specific, the better for us so that we can move faster. I have some questions sa mga suggestions mo, AJ. First is the Open Budget Transparency Server. I read this in one of the, I think my press release yata eh. Ayan. No? So, paano natin gagawin to, yung Open Transparency Server? What's your idea on this?
Yes, thank you, Senator Win. I think this is very relevant now, especially with a lot of discussions on insertions, transparency. No, one of the roots of the problem is the fact that in between the National Expenditure Program and the final GAA, the citizens are not able to see what the amendments are in the House, in the Senate. So what we're envisioning is that all of these documents, the budget documents, the line items, these are transformed into machine-readable formats. So machine-readable just means that they are in a file format that is easily uploaded to a software or a program like a dashboard that you can generate insights from it. So we can monitor at the program level, at the expenditure type, the agency, for example. And then these are transformed into a transparency server. So usually when we explain this, katulad po siya ng election transparency server na may real-time updates whenever some new results are coming in. So it's possible that from every step of the process, from the NEP to the committee hearings, that if there are proposed amendments and realignments, kaya na pong i-track ito ng taong bayan, ng public, and we can see where these are. So this will help to avoid yung mga opaque insertions. If there are valid realignments, it will help the public understand where these are coming from po. And this is what we're really trying to advocate. This is something that's not technically difficult because the DBM has produced the NEP files in Excel form, the GAA in Excel form. So I think we can do this in the House GAB, the Senate GAB, and all the steps in the process.
Actually, this budget, itong budget process, particularly for the 2026 budget, may malaking improvement yung GAB ng House na-upload na nila sa website nila, including the annexes. No? Before kasi, to be honest, even kami dito, pag binibigay sa amin ang GAB, nasa libro yan. No? 4 na libro, isang copy lang for 24 senators. So nagsishare kami ng 24 senators, itong mga staff ko sa likod, sa isang libro lang. So agawan talaga, kaya punit-punit yan pagtapos ng budget process. No, but malaking bagay ngayon because na-upload na ngayon sa website and they gave us a USB rin. So malaking bagay yan kasi now the senators can review the budget all at the same time, simultaneously. Malaking bagay rin na it's in PDF format. So nasa search namin. Dati kasi pagbigay ng libro, i-scan pa namin. Pag-scan, i-convert pa namin sa optical character reader tapos tsaka kami nag-search. Ganon kahirap before mag-analyze ng budget, but now it's easier. Ang tanong ko, yung ganon na pag-upload ng House sa kanilang website ng GAB, is that already enough for analysis? Kasi kayo, nakita ko mga analyst kayo, no?
Yes.
Mga economists and budget watchers. So, is that enough for technical people like you to do analysis and give suggestions?
Senwin, I think we have to acknowledge it's a good step forward. Tama po yung sinabi nyo, before these documents were all physical copies, mahirap gawa ng analysis. But we think that the current PDF files are a good step, but they're not sufficient yet. Yung Excel files na ina-upload, for example, ng DBM, these have what are called Prexy and UAX codes. So these allow you to do analysis at a very granular level, down to what kind of object of expenditure there is. The programs are all coded so that we can identify rather than comparing two programs that we're not sure are similar. No? So this will help you to also generate analytics, for example, sa performance. Later on sa budget accountability, yung pagpapublish ng mga financial accountability reports, these should also have the same codes. So it will not be also difficult for you to ask during the hearings, ano ba yung utilization, ano ba yung disbursement ng bawat programs. If we have these kinds of transparency servers, I think si Ken will show an example of how we were able to scrape data and turn that into a transparency server. So these are very practicable, and I think this should be the goal that we are striving for.
Example, si Ken mamaya.
Yes.
Okay, sige. We'll talk about that because I want to visualize rin itong transparency server. Kasi ang next step will be, kami naman dito sa Senate will upload what we call the Senate version. No, so these are the amendments on the GAB.
Yes.
No? Together with all the annexes. Mas marami lang kaming annex this time dahil we require the DPWH to publish the technical descriptions. No, so pero admittedly naka-PDF siya. So hindi siya enough na PDF lang, dapat Excel format siya. Is that tama ba 'yon? I'm
Yes.
not a IT guy, no? But kino-coach lang ako ng mga analyst din namin kung paano gawin mang madali. So, in your opinion, mas madaling pag Excel format
Yes,
siya.
sir. Yes, sir.
Oo.
Better if Excel format po siya.
And then, it contains yung mga, di ba sa NEP meron ng Prexy code?
Yes, may Prexy and UAX code po sa NEP
Oo.
and sa GAA.
Correct. So, kasama na rin yan doon sa Excel.
Yes, it
Alright.
should be part of it.
Okay. And then, dito sa recommendation number 1 in 256 na port and patronage, where do you suggest we can allocate this? Itong 256, I would assume pumunta to largely to the yung mga paboritong programs, no, like MAIP, AIX, TUPAD, what else?
Ah,
Ito pala. No, meron yatang
Yes.
DLIP.
It's the AIX from DSWD,
Oo.
TUPAD of DOLE, and MyFIP of DOH, and then yung tulong dunong program ng CHED po.
Tama. Ito pa lang wala dito. Tulong-dulong.
Yes, 2 billion po sa tulong dunong.
So, where do you suggest to move itong 256 na patronage no programs? Ano ang suggestion nyo? I get your point
Yes.
na itong mga programs nito are to a certain extent or to a larger extent actually promotes mendicancy, diba? So I get your point in that. So what's a sustainable program? Kasi ang tinitingnan ko is also sustainability. Meaning hindi siya susceptible to the whims of Congress kung dadagdagan, babawasan. For example, in my opinion, the 4Ps is a good program, no, because it's sustainable in a sense that it looks at for example, the number of poor families, the outcomes, diba? Kung pumapasok yung bata, healthy yung mother. So sustainable siya in that sense because it's pegged to a outcome or certain outcome. So in your opinion, itong 256, anong magandang paggamitan yan?
Yes, thank you, Senator Win, for pointing this out. We agree. I think the reason that these programs are susceptible to being treated like pork is that to a large extent, the legislators have an exercise over how these are implemented. And as we said, no matter how well-meaning a lawmaker is, we understand that the lawmakers want to help the healthcare, the education. These programs are designed in such a way that they foster a system of patron-client relationships, mga guarantee letters. So nakadetermine siya based on sino yung kakilala na senator or congressman rather than a guarantee to the right to health and the right to education and the right to financial assistance. So what we are asking for is that we transform these programs and we think about them that in a way that they should be rights-based and rules-based. So tama po yung sinabi ninyo, Senator Win. The 4Ps is a very good example of a rights-based and rules-based program. Nakadefine po yung 4Ps kung sino po yung qualified to benefit from this, kung sino yung beneficiaries. Yung mga listahan po na ganito, this will also prevent yung mga ghost beneficiaries, no? This will prevent, for example, programs that go to people who are not necessarily qualified. At the same time, this will prevent the exclusion of people who are qualified, who should be qualified. For the healthcare system, we really should strengthen our universal healthcare law. Yung PhilHealth po, we understand that there have been problems in the PhilHealth, but this is the rules-based and rights-based program. It doesn't require you to beg na magmalimos sa isang lawmaker to get access to this. Fully funded, fully financed ang healthcare po dapat ng mga mamamayan. Ganun din sa education sector, instead of asking for scholarships, there should be funds already enough in the agencies that guaranteed po ang rights natin for these, no? So we're not saying to scrap health assistance, we're not saying to scrap employment assistance. What we're saying po is we have to remove the tendency, the system, the incentives for lawmakers to use these to foster dependent patron-client relationships and instead imagine a rules-based, rights-based system of providing these services to the people.
I agree with you. To be honest, it pains me to see that some people, mga constituents natin, nagla-line up ng matagal sa mga offices ng politiko. And ang nangyari kasi yung politiko nagiging parang Diyos siya kung sino bibigyan o hindi bibigyan at magkano bibigay, no? So we're giving the power of life and death to the hands of the politician, no? Which is not the right thing to do, no? Kasi dapat the system helps our constituents, no? May mga bagong innovation ang Department of Health nakita namin. Like for example, yung zero balance billing, merong 28 billion more or less, no? For zero balance billing. And then we restored yung PhilHealth subsidy, Magkano ba PhilHealth? 60 something, no?
53 po, plus 60 sa gap.
So mga 50 to 60 billion. And then for me kasi the zero balance billing assures our constituents pag pumunta sila sa DOH, wala silang babayaran. Ang problema natin yung capacity, no? Kasi overcapacity tayo ng 200% across the board. So yan ang isang dapat i-solve, no? Kasi merong libre ng hospital, wala ka namang kama or wala ka namang space, no? So that's another issue we have to resolve. So tingin nga namin yung because of the zero balance billing tsaka yung MOE ng mga hospital, yung PhilHealth parang nagiging bonus na lang, eh, no? So pag nabigyan ka yung hospital ng PhilHealth, bonus na lang siya, no? Kasi yung reimbursement, 'di ba? May reimbursement ang PhilHealth about 30 to 40% of your hospital expense, no? So bonus siya. And then yung MAIP actually is double bonus. Kung nabigyan ng yung mga hospital ng MAIP, parang double bonus yun to cover its OPEX, yung operating expenses niya. So in other words, my point of the matter there, yung punto ko doon, yung zero balance billing that was enlarged, no, pinalaki this time, ensures that rights-based approach, no. So personally nga nakikita ko parang hindi na kailangan ng ganong kalaki ang MAIP. Kasi MAIP lagay mo na lang sa zero balance billing, di ba? Or yung MAIP lagay mo na lang sa increasing capacity, di ba? Para pagpunta ng tao doon, meron siyang hospital bed, may kwarto siya. So that's the concept we're trying to think. Is that in line ba with your rights-based and rules-based approach?
Yes, definitely, sir. That's in line with the approach.
Yeah, sige. And the same with I guess the same with 4Ps, no? Instead of yung mga poorest of the poor families natin, instead of lining up for AIX, mabigyan na lang ng 4Ps, no? So how about yung ano pang ibang mga rights-based and rules-based programs that you think government should intensify instead of yung patronage projects, no? Kasi meron naman ng gobyerno rights-based, rules-based, di ba? Hindi lang, in fact, nakikita ko doble nga, eh. May rights-based, may rights-based, rules-based, meron ring patronage. No, nagiging doble siya, eh, no? May nakita ko sa budget, largely nagkakaroon ng duplication. And I think because of the reason why may duplication, because may mga operational inefficiencies, mabagal ang PhilHealth mag-reimburse, ang MAIP mabagal rin mag-reimburse. So yung hospital wala siyang pang operating expense, papasok naman doon yung zero balance billing kasi MOE yun, eh. So may mga inefficiencies, but in a perfect world na mabilis lahat, anong tingin mo kailangan i-intensify nating programa na rights-based, rules-based? Or kung wala, ano ba yung dapat meron tayong programa na rights-based, rules-based?
So I think we're not saying again to scrap these programs. No, we're not saying, for example, the 4Ps is different from the IX in that the IX is for emergency situations. So it's very different with how you're going to implement and plan that. But I think one realization also, and probably you've experienced this, Senator Win, nakwenta nyo nga po ang daming pumipila, but the office of a senator or the office of a congressman is not properly staffed or resourced to disburse all of this. Parang ang hirap i-identify niya. And the temptation for many is to just disperse it based on mga political considerations rather than the needs of the people. So what we really are reimagining is that that incentive should be taken away. Tanggalin yung temptation na yun na gamitin siya as a patronage tool at planuhin siya ng maayos. Ilagay siya sa mga agencies, make sure that transparent yung targeting mechanisms, make sure na rules-based siya. If you're going to have an emergency financial assistance, make sure na may clear qualifications for this, may clear assessment of this, and then pwede namang through the agencies binibigay yung pondo na ito rather than parking it in some of the distribution through the legislators po. So just remove that part of it, and then yung programs themselves, they can still function well as long as they are properly and clearly defined.
Meron ka man na-identify na program na we should intensify, na rules-based, like for example, ako tawag ko doon sa in ZBB, zero balance billings, rules-based, rights-based yun kasi pagpunta mo sa hospital. But meron ka bang mga ganun na programs you see na we can intensify? Because once pag reallocate mo yung 256, dapat may puntahan siya di ba? So, do you have any suggestion on where to top of mind?
Yes, I think the other in the NEP, but nagpapakita siya bigla sa GAA.
Yeah.
So instead of that, maybe strengthen halimbawa yung tertiary education subsidy.
TTS,
Yung
yes.
TES po, no? So, yung ganong klaseng system na hindi na kailangan dumaan sa mga legislators. So, I think the other CSOs might have something to contribute.
Okay, sige. We actually plan to increase yung TES, 4-piece TES by 6 billion this year. So, para nakita namin kasi yung mga 4-piece na nag-graduate, they need extra help if they go to college, no? Pangbili ng uniforme, books, projects. So we estimated or Chad gave us a figure of about 6 billion for 400,000 4-piece legible college students, no? So meron siyang may continuum siya. Meron siyang pagtapos ng senior high school, pwede siya mag-college kung pumasa ng entrance exam, of course, di ba? So yun, I would call that a rights base because that's right to education. No? So that's one of the items that we are improving. So yeah, we'll ask for suggestions from our CSO later on. In zero balance billing, I stand corrected 50 under the NEP, no? Under the NEP pala is 50